The female manager said the useless, low-educated people are a nuisance. My grandson was standing alone, looking lonely in the hallway of the company at night when I visited for an errand. When I asked him what was wrong, he told me with a voice full of frustration and sadness. My grandson is still a newbie at this company, but he's not someone who deserves to be treated this badly. I see. So I decided to make an angry call to the female manager. When she reluctantly answered, I asked her what she meant. She sighed over the phone and replied, "It means exactly what it says. He's a useless, low-educated person who can't do his job." At that moment, I felt something inside me snap that I had been holding back. "You're getting transferred to China tomorrow." What? And so, I delivered merciless retribution to this foolish female manager. My name is James Davis. I'm a busy man in my early 60s, running a video music software company called Scat8 Force in New York City. At 63, society would call me a senior, and I've had moments where I felt my age. Just the other day, my grandson Joseph graduated from college and finally entered the workforce. The same grandson who used to call me Grandpa, and cling to me as a child is now a working adult. To my surprise, Joseph's new job is at none other than Scat8 Force. "I'm working at the same company as you, Grandpa, doing something I love. Isn't that amazing?" "Yeah, you've grown up, but to think you joined Scat8 Force, just like me." I was very surprised when Joseph told me directly about his job. So I asked him, "Joseph, if you decided this on your own, I have nothing to say, but why didn't you consult me before you got the job? I could have helped you. I thought if I told you, you'd talk to HR or something to get me in." "I wanted to get in on my own strength, without relying on your power, Grandpa." Joseph's firm answer hit a sore spot for me. I wanted to say I wouldn't do that, but I couldn't fully deny it. Even as an adult, I have often spoiled Joseph out of my love for him. So, knowing he wanted to join Scat8 Force, even a branch, I might have intervened secretly. Joseph predicted and feared my overprotectiveness. "You're right. It's embarrassing to be looked after by my grandson like this." "Don't apologize. I'm grateful that you care about me, Grandpa. Thank you." Joseph smiled at me while gently patting my shoulder. Seeing my grandson, who has grown so strong and kind, truly made my eyes well up with tears. To think I'd almost cry over his growth. I really am getting old. These days, I feel the quick passage of time, but I have no intention of retiring just yet. I have a loving family, including Joseph, and colleagues who share my passion for music. So, no matter how busy or tough it gets, I can't give up. No matter what happens, I will continue this work for as long as I can for the sake of my loved ones and my own dreams. Just as I vowed this to myself, a dark cloud suddenly loomed over my days. This happened before Joseph joined as a new employee. I saw it when I passed by the office where the employees were working. Oh, not again. This is a real problem. I sighed at the familiar scene and headed to the office. As soon as I entered, I heard the familiar angry voice of a woman echoing through the room. "More, Johnson, get it together. I told you to meet your sales targets already. Seriously, useless low-educated people are such a hassle." That high-pitched, nervous woman's angry voice had become all too familiar. Suppressing the urge to feel sick, I looked in the direction of the voice. There, a beautiful but stubborn and demanding woman in a suit was yelling at two young employees in their late 20s. I recognized the woman shouting at the two employees. Her name is Mary Smith. She's the sales manager and certainly capable, but her personality is terrible. To put it bluntly, she's the worst and extremely harsh with her subordinates. She particularly despises those with average or low educational backgrounds, such as high school or community college graduates, and relentlessly pressures them. If you don't meet your sales targets by the end of this month, you're not just getting a pay cut, you're getting fired. Work like your life depends on it. Yes, I'm sorry. We'll do our best. Please don't fire us. The two young employees were clearly terrified of Mary. They were being yelled at in front of the other employees in the office, whose expressions were equally dark and heavy. Hey, look at Manager Mary. She's at it again. I wish she'd give us a break. Does she do that knowing we're all here? Her attitude is just awful, seriously. Hearing such murmurs more than once or twice, the atmosphere at the company is always terrible because of Mary. Hey Mary, what are you doing today? Look around you. Trying to stop this situation, I step in to confront Mary. By the way, this isn't the first or second time. When I try to stop her, Mary turns around with a sickeningly fake smile and sidles up to me. Oh, President Davis, I'm so sorry for causing trouble as usual. Don't try to cover it up with a fake smile. You pushed a new employee into taking sick leave with depression the other day. This is no joke. You're going too far. Well, it's tough when all my subordinates are such low-educated, useless people. But thanks to your guidance, President Davis, we're managing somehow. Mary dismisses my warnings with her laughter and persistence. I'm taken aback by her behavior, and the employees look at her with disdain and disgust. Mary is blatantly obsequious to higher-ups, so she has no respect from her subordinates. Whenever she causes trouble like this, I call her to a private place and sternly reprimand her. Cut it out, Mary. How many times do I have to tell you? With your methods, no one will follow you in this day and age. I keep telling you too. I'm being strict for the sake of this company. And with those high school and community college grads being so useless, I have to be tough on them. I'm telling you, that's the wrong mindset. Because of your constant pressure on the employees, sales performance is dropping, and the turnover rate is increasing. I'll say it as many times as it takes. You're too soft, President. If you think you can run a company with such a saintly attitude, you're mistaken. If there's ever been a perfect example of someone who is full of excuses, it's Mary. Whenever she's severely reprimanded by me or other executives, Mary uses the excuse of "for the company" to withstand it all. The real trouble is, there are several executives who highly value Mary's abilities. Manager Mary has exceptional skills, second only to us. It's ridiculous to think of punishing her for such minor issues. Absolutely, without her, Scat 8 Force wouldn't be what it is today. The ones who should be punished are the incompetent employees. These executives always vehemently oppose any severe disciplinary action against Mary. Mary possesses comparable abilities and influence, and it's no exaggeration to say the company can't function without them. Because of this, despite numerous attempts by me and the other executives to take a firm stance, we've repeatedly failed due to the interference of these executives. This stalemate has persisted for 2 or 3 years, and during this time, my grandson Joseph joined the company. To make matters worse, Joseph was assigned to the sales. Got it, Grandpa. I know you're worried, but I'm officially joining the working world this year. I'll be careful not to overdo it. Since Joseph compromised, I decided not to press the matter further. Joseph is in his late 20s, a mature and responsible adult, so I figured he could handle a bit of harassment from Mary. With that in mind, I plan to monitor the situation and consider my next steps regarding Mary. However, I later regretted my decision. One night, I realized I had forgotten some documents needed for an upcoming meeting, so I rushed back to the office. On my way to the president's office, near the hallway by the vending machines, I saw something that made me stop. Wait, is that Joseph? Oh, Grandpa. Joseph was standing there alone. He held an unopened can of juice in one hand, bought from the nearby vending machine, looking completely dejected. I was shocked to see that the energy and spirit he had when he first joined the company were gone. What happened, Joseph? Why are you here alone at this hour? What's going on? Grandpa, it's nothing serious. I've just been a bit tired from work. I'll head home soon, so don't worry. You don't look fine. You've seemed down both here and at home, and you haven't been responding to my messages or calls. I'm sorry about that, but really, I'm fine. Don't worry about me, Grandpa. Just focus on your own work. Joseph was trying to keep me, his grandfather and the company president, from worrying, stubbornly keeping his mouth shut. But I couldn't just stand by, so I persisted in asking him, even if it meant he might get annoyed with me. Eventually, Joseph relented, his expression darkening as he began to speak. The female manager said the useless, low-educated people are a nuisance. What? The female manager? You mean Mary? What did she do? Manager Mary gave me an unfair lecture in front of everyone and told me I was a nuisance and should leave the company. Joseph, anguished, had tears rolling down his cheeks. He then started to tell me about the mistreatment he received from Mary. That day, after returning from an outside task, Joseph was subjected to a harsh lecture in front of his colleagues. How could you forget to buy the special lunch I asked for on your way back? Forgetting your superior's lunch shows a lack of responsibility as an employee. I'm sorry, but Manager Mary, you emailed me just before I returned to the office, and I couldn't respond in time. Don't make excuses. I am your superior. You must follow my orders, no matter the circumstances. Can you really do your job here if you can't manage that? Forgetting to buy her lunch, Mary erupted in anger and berated Joseph with unreasonable scolding. Moreover, she continued to lecture him in front of his colleagues for a whole hour. While Joseph's colleagues looked unusually uncomfortable and tense, Mary dismissively told him to step back and then said, "Oh, I almost forgot in my anger over missing my precious lunch. You're fired as of today." What? Mary's announcement shocked not only Joseph but also his colleagues. Joseph naturally protested. Wait a minute. Why am I being fired? Besides, Manager Mary doesn't have that authority. You're an employee in this department, and I'm the manager in charge of this department. Therefore, I have the authority to fire you. I've never heard of such a thing, and firing me just for forgetting your lunch is completely unreasonable. Unreasonable? That's unexpected. I was giving you a final warning as your former superior, you useless, low-educated burden. Mary's mocking laughter enraged Joseph's colleagues, who all protested vehemently. However, Mary remained arrogant and defiant, stating that if anyone had complaints, they would be fired alongside Joseph, leaving the atmosphere in the office worse than ever. I see. Hearing everything from Joseph, my chest was filled with disbelief. I couldn't believe Mary could be such a terrible person. I regretted not taking action earlier, even at the risk of potential consequences, to prevent this from happening to my grandson. I immediately called Mary. However, she showed no sign of answering. I didn't give up and kept calling persistently, almost like a stalker, until she finally answered. What do you want, President Davis? I'm on my way home on the train. If you need to talk, can it wait until I'm back at the office? Hearing her annoyed voice, I struggled to keep my anger in check. I'm sorry to bother you when you're tired, but I spoke with my grandson today, and that's why I'm calling. What? Your grandson talked to you? What did he say? Did he fill your head with lies out of spite or jealousy? Mary's disrespectful tone, despite talking to me, the company president, made my blood boil. Her arrogance and condescension were infuriating. But I maintained my composure. I heard you reprimanded Joseph for an hour in front of everyone because he forgot to buy your lunch, and then you fired him. How do you explain that? Explain. Your grandson is utterly incompetent and lacks the responsibility expected of an employee here. I did what was necessary. What was necessary? Do you really think such punishment is warranted for merely forgetting to buy lunch? This goes beyond a simple reprimand. What are you implying? Are you saying I should take back the termination because he's your grandson? Maintaining her arrogant attitude, I raised my voice slightly and spoke sternly over the phone. Of course not. I'm a company executive. I wouldn't do that. But Mary, as I've told you many times, No one will follow your methods. President, how many times do I have to tell you, in today's world, the saintly approach doesn't work. In the end, it's education and competence that matter. So, you called Joseph a useless, low-educated person. What's your reasoning? Explain in 40 words or less. It means exactly what it says. He's a useless, low-educated person who can't do his job. Mary laughed, mocking Joseph through me. I looked at his resume. Your grandson graduated from a third-rate music college in the city. Why hire such a low-educated nobody? What did you say? There are many more from third-rate colleges, and several employees with only high school diplomas. Only a handful of us are elite graduates from prestigious universities. It's disgraceful. Her words insulted many employees, including Joseph and Dorothy. Unaware of my rising anger, Mary delivered her final blow. If you understand, then start by getting rid of your grandson and the current employees, and replace them with elites. That's what's best for the company. Those words snapped something inside me. I see. So that's how you think. Understand. Oh, you understand. Then let's start making the changes to improve this company. Yes, as part of that reform, you're being transferred to China tomorrow. What? Mary, who had been on the verge of gloating, sounded utterly shocked. We'll also need to discuss other disciplinary measures, so stay tuned. Wait a minute. Disciplinary measures, and I'm being transferred. What do you mean? Mary was yelling something on the other end of the line, but I ignored her, hung up, and temporarily blocked her phone and email. I then gently patted Joseph on both shoulders and spoke to him. It's okay, Joseph. You don't need to worry about anything. I'll make sure the termination is reversed, and I'll handle Manager Mary as well. Grandpa, you did nothing wrong. Leave everything to me. Got it? Looking straight into his tear-filled eyes, I said, and Joseph, though initially taken aback, nodded in agreement. The next day, the bad feeling I had when Joseph first told me everything came true. The sales department employees, Joseph's colleagues, all stormed into my office. What? What's going on? Why do you all look so frantic? All of them wore expressions of anger and sadness, and they were holding resignation letters. I was shocked by the scene as Joseph's colleagues thrust their resignation letters at me and began to speak. President Davis, we've had enough of Mary's tyranny. We can't follow her anymore. Fire her immediately or take severe action against her. If not, we will all resign from this company. They could no longer tolerate Mary's tyranny disguised as strictness. The incident with Joseph seemed to have been the last straw, causing their pent-up frustration and anger to explode into this collective action. No matter the reasons or circumstances, I felt responsible for allowing things to reach this point. As I tried to calm them down, a woman who seemed to be their leader stepped forward. President, I mean no disrespect, but how long do you intend to let Mary run wild, your grandson? Joseph has also been horribly treated. I recognized her, Dorothy Anderson. At 28, she's still young but a natural leader among the sales department employees. Glamorous and beautiful, yet strong-willed and assertive, she always speaks her mind. Despite being repeatedly crushed by Mary's tyranny, Dorothy has never given up, continuously seeking discussions and voicing her opinions. Recently, I was surprised to hear that Dorothy, who has been a good mentor to Joseph, had quickly become his girlfriend. I can't stand it anymore, and I'm not going to stay silent and accept this. This time, please give Mary the severe punishment she deserves. The frustration and sadness she felt from seeing Joseph treated so unfairly were evident in her words and expression. This made me regret even more deeply that I had let Mary's behavior go unchecked for so long. I understand how you all feel. It's my fault for being too lenient because of her abilities. President Davis, I promise I will deal with Mary and make things right for all of you and Joseph. Please hold on to your resignation letters. Trust me. As I pleaded, Dorothy and the other colleagues looked at each other and then nodded in agreement. Understand, it feels disrespectful to ask, but for the sake of us and Joseph, please handle Manager Mary appropriately. Of course, if there's anything you need from me to resolve this, just let me know. I will give this matter my full attention. After discussing with Dorothy and the others, we formulated a plan to deal with Mary, and I sent them home. I then unblocked Mary and called her again. Finally, I got through, President Davis. What was that about yesterday? Sorry to keep you waiting. I've reached a decision regarding your punishment first. I took a deep breath and began to explain the disciplinary actions I would take against Mary. You will pay compensation to Joseph and the others in one lump sum, not installments. I can't risk you defaulting on it. Wait a minute. Why am I being transferred and compensation? What did I do? Mary, horrified by the beginning of her punishment, started to protest loudly. Think about it. Do you realize how many employees you've driven to take leave or resign with your tyrannical behavior? You should be getting a disciplinary dismissal. Disciplinary dismissal? You must be joking. Why should I be treated like this? I've been strict for the sake of the company. Feeling cornered, Mary tried to use her usual defense, but I wasn't having it. For the sake of the company, don't make me laugh. You're incompetent. Incompetent? Me? Incompetent? Who do you think you're talking to? Mary was infuriated. She always bragged about being an elite and a prestigious university graduate, so this provocation hit her hard. As she responded angrily, I stood my ground. Who else would I be talking to? Obviously, you. What? You're drunk on your position and power, causing chaos in the company. Do you know what happened to the turnover rate of young, new, and temporary employees since you became sales manager? What are you trying to say? I was just tricked her into telling the truth, but Mary seemed to have something in mind as she clearly began to panic. Taking advantage of her unease, I pressed on. Since you became sales manager, the turnover rate has risen to 40% over the past 2 to 3 years, mainly among employees in your department. What? 40%? That high? Mary's voice was stunned. I thought it was frightening she hadn't even noticed. Our investigation revealed that Mary's so-called strictness for the company's sake was the main cause of this high turnover rate due to her malicious and unreasonable behavior. Despite our attempts to address it, we were always thwarted by executives who valued her skills too much. However, after seeing Joseph's tears and hearing Dorothy and the others' pleas, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Oh, and when we looked into the executives who supported you, we found some interesting facts. It turns out you had inappropriate relationships with them, didn't you? What are you talking about? That's impossible. Also, we found out that you used similar tactics to climb the ladder to become the sales manager and to secure your job. You're nothing but a paper tiger. As I revealed these shocking truths from my investigation, Mary's voice trembled over the phone. She was either caught